Hey, and welcome to yet another Front-End Engineering Explained. Just so many things going on. I'm learning so many things and experimenting with so many things. I just can't stop sharing. So let's start off this one with a little question. Have you ever thought why you don't see the bits and pieces that makes up the head of your document? I always thought that, like browsers know that that stuff's not meant to be rendered to the page. And so maybe when it's parsing the HTML, it almost has like two modes. It almost has like a parsing mode where it like pulls the information it needs out of the head, like loading style sheets and getting the title to use it in the tab and all this kind of stuff. And as soon as it hits the body tag, it then switches into a parsing and rendering phase where it just not only parses the HTML, but it also starts painting to the screen and applying the style sheets and all these kinds of things. Maybe executing JavaScript, whatever. Although that could also happen in the head already. And maybe that's not entirely wrong, but I attended a Smashing Conf meet on Monday. It was Smashing Magazine meets CSS. And one of the people that spoke there was Miriam Suzanne, and she talked about basically the entire evolution of CSS. It was super interesting. And by the way, you can catch it now on the Smashing Magazine YouTube channel, so you can go check it out there. But one thing she kind of mentioned in passing was just like, wait, what? Is that fact. The fact that this is actually not visible is because the browser is just setting it to display none. And the same goes for the title and meta and everything in here. And so I created a little code pen here, and all it is just an H1 and then some CSS. And what the CSS does is it sets the head and the title tags to display block. So now they're no longer hidden. So now you can see the actual page title, and I just set the font size to 5 rem. And so this just says, I can see your page title and da-da-da. And I shared this on Mastodon, and a couple of people commented on it. And then Brahmas kind of just slid in and like shared these other two links where he's using it, or this fact, for something that's actually useful. Because this is interesting, but would you ever use it? Nah, I wouldn't recommend you use it. We have proper heading tags that we will use for headings. We don't need to show our page title. So, but let me show you what I learned through looking at those two code pens. So let's jump into VS Code, and we'll create a new file, and we'll just call it wildwest.html. And let's create our frame and then do Wild West. And now I'm going to create just like a paragraph that's just empty. And we're going to give it a class of output. And then I'm going to create a button type of button, and I'm just going to say click me. And then I'm going to add a little script tag here. It doesn't have to be module because it's going to be super simple. And I'm going to let the AI help me here a little bit so we can speed up the video. And that's all I want literally to do is you click the button and it then puts you click me into the output. So of course, if we go to localhost, I think it's 5500. Cool, there's the button. When I click it, boop, you click me. Sweet. That's not super interesting. Maybe a little bit. Here's what's really interesting. So we're going to add a little style block here at the top. If I type it correctly, we will. And then what we're going to do is on here, I'm going to put a little attribute called visible. And then we're going to say script with an attribute visible display block, and let's give it some extra styles. Let's say let's give it like a border of 0.3 rem that's solid and like a dark gray, and then let's give it some padding, maybe 1 rem. And then let's say white space should be pre, so like a pre tag. And then, yeah, I think that's fine. So now if we go back, hey, that is the JavaScript that is being executed on this page. Not using a separate pre-code. I'm just outputting the actual script element. Now, of course, should you do this as a way to show code? Probably not, again, because you're losing the semantics of wrapping code in pre-code blocks, right? But you can make the script tag visible so people can actually see your code there. And of course, you can do all kinds of stuff in here. Let's do something like, oops, why do I always start with the wrong one now? P class equals label. And then we'll put in here JavaScript. And then let's go up here and do label. Give it a background color. That same dark gray. I think that's too many. 212121. There we go. Color white. And let's give it a little bit of padding. Sure, why not? And then let's turn the margin at the bottom off. Okay, nice. Now let me show you something really wild. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. This time we'll say CSS, and then we're going to do style, but this time not visible. Content editable equals plain text only. This is critical. And then we'll do that. And then we'll do button. I'm going to say appearance none. Is that right? Appearance, yes. And then I'm going to do output some style. Okay, some style like that. Now, of course, if we do that, you'll see the button has no appearance, there's CSS, da-da-da. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to here, add style content editable, right? Now you can see it. Now you can see the formatting is a little funky. I mean, a little bit funky. There's a lot of spacing here and stuff like that, right? So, and that's just because now, obviously, we're saying white space pre, right? So it's like a pre tag. So what we'll do is we'll indent it like this, and then we'll really go wild and do that. Okay, now that looks pretty nice. But look at this. Background color Rebecca purple. You see what happened? It's applying my CSS live as I type. Wild, wild. So the browser keeps interpreting and applying the CSS that I'm typing here. Right? There's no JavaScript doing anything here. You saw all the code I wrote. There's no library I'm pulling in or anything. Padding, give it 1 rem. Oh, actually, of course I can't use tab because I'll tab out of this, but let's just do padding block, and we want that to be maybe 0.5, and then we probably want inline. Maybe we want that to be 1 rem. And here I messed up. 1 rem. Okay. And so you have a little live code editor here that you can edit CSS that is live updated. I don't know. This kind of blew my mind. I was like, okay, cool. So not only can you make these things visible, but you can now actually impact the CSS live. What? What? That was pretty cool. Again, if you're just displaying your CSS, you won't go this route. You'll still use your pre-encode because that's semantically correct, and that identifies to, for example, a screen reader what it is that is in this pre, like it's code. So, you know, it's still important to do that. But the fact that you can show this, make it content editable, and then edit it, and it live updates, I don't know, that it's just fascinating, and it gives like a kind of sense of what's happening in the browser also here. Now you could make this JavaScript content editable as well, but editing this won't kick the JavaScript engine into re-executing the JavaScript. That doesn't happen. But with the CSS, you get a live editing experience of the CSS. So if you want to, for example, have a page, and then you have some CSS that's applied to the page, and you want to make it like a demo where people can play around with this, and you want to like really bare bones it, or maybe you want to use it as the beginnings of a little editor in your page, this could be an option. This could be an option. It's very, very interesting indeed. I'm going to link everything that I've mentioned here, including promises to CodePens, because there's even cooler stuff in here. Like, for example, the custom highlighting API is wild, and I still need to play with that. But I will link to all of that. But I just had to share this. This is it's pretty cool. I had no idea you could do this, and I've been building websites for a long time, and I had no idea you could do this. So yeah, I hope you found this interesting, a little also mind-blowing maybe. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up. And if you want more content like this, seems like I'm making a lot of videos these days, so please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Make cool things for the web. Always include everyone. Make things accessible, performant, and have fun. Peace.